Okay. Hello, everyone. We're just going to wait a moment, give it a moment for some people to sign on. And also, we'll see if Yogi Bell comes in here. So just as an introduction, this is, and here she is. Hello, Belle. You came? Yes. All right, so it's going to be a good day if Belle comes in to class. So welcome to, this is a community virtual yoga Narada warm-up class. So we're using the beginning sequencing of Yoga Narada, used to be called Yoga for Dancers by Hilary Cartwright. And I'm Michele, and this is Belle. And so the November series is going to be focusing on our standing breathing. So we'll start off with releasing things through the body and getting things a little bit more free of tension so that we can breathe and focus our breath a little bit more acutely. Another big influence of mine is Irene Dowd. So I don't know if anybody joining has a little bit of that in their background. So I sort of love the dynamic between Hilary's work and Irene Dowd's work. I've never really said that, so I'll just sort of insert that. So every Wednesday at 12 o'clock Eastern time, just a little 45-minute something that I started during the pandemic and will continue. So we're going to come down seated on the floor. You can give yourself a little bit of a height if you want to fold your mat or sit up on a cushion. If you would like to refer to the series sitting on a stool or a chair, all of the previous month in October has recordings on Instagram and YouTube, and you can refer to those in the archives. And you can also do this part sitting on a chair or a stool. So we're going to come down. We basically want to find alignment with ease. We want to try to feel that we're aligned through the bones and get in touch with the weight and the plumb line through gravity into our bones and the structure of our body, so that we're not tensing and holding through the nerves and the muscles and all the other soft tissue that is supporting the bones. So we want to go right to the source of the bones to find alignment, so that, and it may not be the feeling that you're used to. So there might be some adjusting internally, and you just have to sort of go with that and try to feel what your body needs. If something feels painful or pinchy or restrictive, it's probably not correct, right? So we want to create the fullest amount of function dynamically all throughout the body. So let's come down. You can cross your feet. You can bring your feet into a long diamond shape here, or you can bring your feet straight out. We want to find the sitting bones. We're going to relax into the sits bones. And let's actually, to feel that plumb line through the tail of the spine, you can kind of shift from side to side, just kind of getting anything out of the way from feeling your sits bones more easily. And then we're going to settle in through center. Once your hips feel relaxed, feel that you're relaxing around the lower back, through the sides of the hips, through the shoulder blades. Think of your shoulder blades, your scapula, having a nice plumb line all the way down through the sits bones, right? So there's a nice long line there, and that gives you a sense of balance. We're also thinking of the spine here as our midline connection. So I like to think of the pelvis almost like a teepee. We have our two sits bones nice and wide, and we have our spine through the center as the center support, right? So there's actually 3 points of reference to center through our body. Breathing into the midline, we're going to take our hands on top of the head and just relax. Try not to press down. Sometimes the shoulders feel even tight to do this, but just try to feel a sense of release through the plumb line where your hands are, all the way down into the floor through the tail end of your spine. So we're just going to relax the jaw and the chin. You might feel especially the head might adjust here a little bit, dropping and releasing back into the neck. Let's just breathe into that release through the tail. Feel that your tail is really heavy and long. So we always talk about a dinosaur tail, a really thick, long, dense tail draping down. So it gives you a really nice sense of support through that thickness and heaviness. And we're just going to take a couple of deep breaths, letting the breath in. And just releasing any tension around the spine, letting the breath release out, feeling that sense of plumb line from the crown all the way down into the floor through your tail. Now we're going to gently release the palms. You can, if your eyes were closed, you can gently open them. Feel that sense of lightness that comes through the crown of the head here, but there's more awareness. So you're aware of your midline, of that center line that runs right through your body where your spine is. We use that line as a sense to coordinate and move through to keep that sense of balance throughout the body, wherever we go. So we don't have to worry about, oh, put your right hip down and pull your right knee in. It's not little tiny parts. We're just letting the body organize from the center, which is the embryonic midline, our strongest neurological reference, which is there, whether you believe it or not, it's there. So we're just going to relax into that. Let the breath drop down into the base of the spine, into the base of the pelvis. And then we're going to take our hands together and just start to glide forward and back, relaxing through the fingers. We're drawing the breath up into our hands, being very aware of your breath here as you're gliding forward and back, releasing in between the fingers. And then we're going to separate the hands, feeling that nice little energetic buzz in between our palms. So we feel that energy, feel that that has breath to it. We're just going to imagine that that has some breath to it. Our breath connects to this and expands out through the palms into the space around us. So you want to feel that your breath is moving you and you're breathing into just a gentle unraveling, but expanding out into the space around your body. So you want to encompass through the breath all of the space you have around the back, through the sides, up above, down below the floor. So as we do this, it gives us a sense of support with ease. We're not trying to go against any forces. We're coordinating with the forces, and we're also just gently breathing open any little crevices here. We're not going too deeply, but we're just sort of taking note and feeling that release come through. And then from here, we're going to reach out through the palms. Now we're gathering that air and space and energy from the space around through our hands, taking that over the eyes, sensing it over your eyes, over your face, and just breathing through the palms to wash over the face around the eyes. So again, your breath is through the palms, washing over your face to release any tension and tightness. Take your middle fingers, and we're going to massage into the brow bones. Try again, your fingers have breath up and around, and with a nice little lift up into your hairline. We're going to take a nice little exhale, relaxing the face and just opening from that center on out. And then let's bend the index finger. We're going to go under the eyes on the bone again. So we're going to breathe out and sweep along the orbital bone under the eyes. And of course, you'll get into that opening through your sinus cavity as a nice little flush and release through, breathing through the hands where your touch is. So when we use our own hands to touch through the body, that's technically called idiokinesis. You're using your touch to build awareness. So you can, it doesn't have to be another person, right? So this is you doing it to yourself. We're going to take our fingertips and just lightly scrub up and down, finding that release through the skin and just breathing out, letting the breath release. Imagine you're just sort of ironing out all these little lines or wrinkles and flushing underneath the skin through the lymph there. And then we're going to continue around to the outside of the eyes, a very, very light circular massage, very surface here. So just going on the temples in a light circular motion. And then we're just going to continue right down in between the upper and lower jaw. Let your jaw relax. You don't have to poke your head forward, but just relax your lower jaw. Now we can use our fingertips a little deeper so we can kind of poke around and get a little bit more targeted into where we feel tension. Let yourself explore. And when you're getting a little bit deeper into the tissue, you're palpating. So we're palpating and massaging and releasing and just feeling where those tension spots are. Breathing through the fingertips as you find your places to kind of dig into and let go. And then from here, we're going to take our fingertips above the ears into the scalp, kind of like you're washing your hair. We're taking a nice little scrubbing, lifting up, feeling that we're decompressing from around the ears. We're going to trace that lifting quality around the ears, around the perimeters, towards the back of the head in a nice little upward lifting motion. Even as we get down low from the back of the ears, we still want to breathe in and up, feeling that the head lifts up away from the spine a little bit with the fingers breathing, just kind of releasing any very surface tension there. And then we're going to come all the way around to the back. Now, if you take your hands into that crease, if you just move your head a little bit up and down, you feel the crease where your head and your neck meet. That's the occipital area. We're at the top of the spine. The spine goes in and up a little bit more. But that's a huge spot of tension and compression. So we're going to take a side to side, a lateral massage into that area. Breathe into your hands. Let your body, it's like a little magnet. Your body is magnetizing into your hands with breath. And we're just feeling that space is expanding and opening and letting us feel open and taller. You're just realizing your own length here. Go a little bit wider out to the sides towards your ears with that. And then come back in close to the spine. And now we're going to take deeper circular massages going down the back of the neck. So starting up at the top and then just working your way down, trying to breathe into this massage down the back of the neck, using your hands and looking for any little spots you feel you need to pay more attention to. Or maybe one side feels tighter than the other and you weren't expecting that, right? Now we're going to take our fingertips when we get to the shoulders, a little bit more like a claw. We're going to dig into the tops of the shoulders. We're going to dig into the traps. Take a nice exhale and just sweep over the top and just flick it off. Let go of any tension and tightness. And then going back again. Let's take a nice long exhale with that sweep. And shake it off one more time. And letting the breath travel through your touch. And release. Now we're going to invigorate the midline, right? So as we're going to interlace the fingers and turn the palms forward, soften, and just feel from the base of the pelvis that inside internal midline lifts you up. Maybe your arms aren't stretched all the way. That's okay. We want to feel that lifting, energetic connection that lifts us up off of our seat almost. We're going to wiggle through that and breathe through it like we're yawning through the midline, lifting up off of one sits bone and the other, letting some lift come through the chest, off of the pelvis a bit, getting a little bit more breath through the tail and the hips. And then we're going to come back through center. Let your arms drape down in front of you, relaxing all the way down. Relax your tail a little bit. And then just relax your shoulders. Take a little sway with your arms, a little cradling here. Now, as our arms sway, we feel this movement we're going to feel from the scapula, from the shoulder blades. But we're really breathing through our chest cavity. We're going to sweep around, get a little window through your elbow. Breathe through your left side ribs to come up. We're going to make a circle, like a nice little Ferris wheel going over the rib side. And soften your tail down. So your head and your tail are kind of reflecting here. As we inhale and come up, you can actually reach through the tail end to open the chest more. Exhale. And just relaxing forward. Let the shoulders relax here. Again, long tail, breathe through the side ribs up. And exhale over and around and forward. And again, really soften the shoulders. Let your elbows be wide up. Take a breath up here and change your direction. Exhale. And then rounding forward. Find your elbow making space to breathe through the ribs to come up and lift. Wide elbows, exhale over. And tail softens as we come down. Find that long reaching tail to breathe through the side up. And one more time, exhale over. And tail softens to come forward. Find that long tail reaching down to come up. Now, as we come up, we're going to find that energetic midline from the base, lifting you up. We're going to stretch and breathe through that midline all the way up. Keep breathing through the midline and separate the hands and just circle through the wrists, through the fingers. Let the arms float open and feel that the arms just slightly hang. Sorry. Arms are going to hang at the bottom, just hanging off of that lift in the spine, and then just relax. We're going to take the feet out. Feet are coming out in front of you. We're going to flex. Say your right foot is out, flexing the heel, right palm's up. The other knee's just hanging open. The other hand goes behind you, right behind your tail, right? So try not to be over to one side. Try to feel you're supporting your tail, but you're really breathing and lifting through here. Don't confuse this with just resting back into your hand there, right? So that doesn't get the energy balanced. We want to feel that we inside engage to open through the outside, yawning through and then just changing. Find your breath to lift you up and over, hanging the arm to breathe through the chest and release. And again, through the midline up, we get that little lift up and over the tail and extension and release and change. Feel the breath lift you up to go over and release and change. We'll do one more time on each side. Breath and up, over. So we shouldn't feel any compression. We're just trying to find that sense of length and expansion and release. Now we're going to take both feet out, take both arms up again, and we're going to circle wrists and ankles, breathing through them, breathing through your fingertips and toes, coming all the way down and around. We're going to relax and hang over the legs. You can shift and make your legs more comfortable. Maybe you separate a little bit more. Let your head hang forward and just relax over the legs here. Let your breath help you release through the spine in this hang. We're just going to feel the heaviness of our head with gravity, and it doesn't matter how far you are. If you're feeling really tight in the legs or the back, and it's just your head right here, that's fine, So just feel a let go, a release and hang. Feel that your arms hang a little bit forward so that you can breathe through the back of your body. So we want to feel that the arms are not in the way to breathe through and get into the back of the lungs here a little bit. So we're just going to breathe out, release the head. If you feel comfortable, use your breath to let go of the head. So we're going to take a nice exhale through the nose, breathing out, and a little bit of a drop with the breath. Coordinate your breath with the release of the head a little bit. Try not to get too involved with the arms and just feel that nice trickle through, let go from the crown all the way through the tail end of the spine. Just a nice little opening through the vertebrae at either end. Little extra. And then we're just going to hang over and relax. Now we're going to use the head as a weight to sway from side to side. We're just breathing normally here and swaying the head from one side to the other. And we feel that nice little kind of yawning through the back of the body into the hips. And we're going to go with that. So we're going to start to just gently rock from one sitting bone to the other, We're feeling really heavy in the bones. We were using our bones to draw through movement so that we can release and breathe through the tissues and release through the nerves and maybe even wake up the nerves a little bit more. Now we're going to use the breath through the low belly. There's a little tiny scoop through the low belly, through the dantian. We're going to walk through the hips, walking backwards along the floor. You're shifting in your hips, lifting up and over and dragging your leg along the floor. Imagine that you're breathing through the sacrum, through your lower back, right? So we have that breath through the center, and our hips are just pivoting around. And now we're going to come forward. We lift up and walk over. Just let your leg kind of flop forward. We're just nice and lazy, like an old elephant, just walking and lifting up, pushing one sits bone down to propel the other one over, like little feet here. And then just hanging over, relax through center and breathe out to let go. As we let the breath in, find your heavy tail. That long dinosaur tail reaches down through the floor. As that tail draws down and goes through the floor, we feel a nice breath coming in and up along the front of the spine. And as you get almost up through the top, that tail is more dense and more heavy, and that opens through the neck and through the chest with ease, right? So as you reach, even just sitting up, sometimes this is the hardest thing, especially sometimes for well-trained dancers. The hip flexors are so tight, they cannot sit parallel upright. Yeah. And so that may be turned out. Yes. So now we want to find the tail to get something going into the abdomen, into the pelvic floor. Then just relax it. We're going to bring the feet around and just take a nice little scoop. Now we have a little tiny scoop. We're going to use our hands, use our fists, and just drum into your sacrum. Again, the breath is traveling through your hands, breathing and drumming into the sacrum. Go all around the sacrum, into the glutes a little bit here, getting any little tightnesses to release there. And then we're going to come back up along the spine, towards the ribs, towards the kidneys, just kind of brushing away any tension from the vertebrae, and back down again. And then from here, we're going to take our fists and just drop right down into the backside of the hips. So we're dropping and bouncing off of the backside hips, the greater trochanters. And then we're going to alternate. So now we're going to take one hand from the back and then take a nice sort of circular breath release. So when I'm doing this dropping, and I think you can tell, it's through the momentum of my bones. I'm not trying to muscle it, right? I'm not actually doing this with my arms. I'm just being really lazy and flushing. And that's how we get the release and the vibration to travel through the body. So we're not trying to muscle through it. So you want to let go so that all these little attachment points start to breathe a little bit. Now, we're going to take our hands nice and floppy, opening the palms, use the heels of your hands, go along the sides of the legs and fluff. We're fluffing up and around. We want the muscles to really shake, really breathe, really let go off of the bones here. We're going down that IT band line, going all the way down the outside of the legs, along your quadriceps, along your thighs, until you're right up above the knees, where the quads insert into the knees. We're going to take our fists and just pat, breathing into that release around the knees, into the joints, and just kind of waking up inside the joints here, breathing into that. And then taking our fingertips, lightly tapping, feeling that nice vibration right through your patella, through your kneecap. You feel a nice vibration into the joint. The nerves are waking up the fluids when we do this. We're going to tap down the shin bones, tapping all the way to the ankles, feeling that vibration, especially when it gets really cold outside. This will become a little bit more useful. So we'll get things going there. Tapping all the way back up again. We're going to lean back, use the heels of the hands. And now again, you can palpate. You can push a little bit deeper into the tissue and think of that bone, your femur bone, really long thigh bone here. And we're flushing and massaging down and out from the hips all the way to the knees. And you'll see I'm going a little bit out, a little bit in. You're just acknowledging the shape of your leg. Your leg's round. And then we'll come down. You've got 4 quadriceps there, right? So quad meaning 4. We're going to come down to the outside of the shins, floppy hands, and right on the peroneals. Again, we're just using that momentum and fluffing along the outsides of the shin bones here, getting a nice release of anything that's holding between the knees, between the ankles, letting things breathe a little and let go so that things can adjust and shift more easily as your body needs. And then from here, we're going to take the feet back in, let your knees hang out to the side a little bit. This is just very casual, very relaxed. Whatever comes through. If your knees are up here, that's fine. Use the backs of your hands. And now take a nice brush downward from the inner thigh, where we're just releasing and brushing down into gravity. Go down the inner thigh line towards your knees, letting that release come through. And again, you're breathing through your touch, through your palms. And then from here, gently flexing through the heels. We're going to feel a slight little engagement through the calves. My watch is going crazy. Taking your fists. And we're just going to drop down into the calves with a nice exhale. So let your breath guide the release of your hands. And if your calves all of a sudden you realize that they feel really sensitive and tight, you can take smaller drops and just kind of, letting that go from not such a high distance. But make sure you end up going a little bit lower underneath the calves towards your Achilles into that soleus area, just kind of going lower on the leg. And then we're going to take our hands back behind. We're going to take a nice shake out on the floor, relaxing. Feel the backs of the knees release. We're going to wiggle in the hips, wiggle in the shoulders. Make sure you're not holding any tension. Now through that midline, we're going to continue the midline down through the legs. Take one knee up, take a deep breath. Start to gather as you exhale through your pelvis. You're going to feel a nice exhale, scoop. Then let the leg go. And again, up. So we're releasing the leg through the midline, through the support. And again. So we're letting things go through the leg here, but we still have a place of connecting, right? That's very important. So you want to feel, you can't give and especially the aesthetic of letting go. It doesn't look like it's let go unless there's a connection somewhere. Otherwise, it just looks kind of mushy, which also is fine. We're going to now relax the legs, just let the legs hang, and we're going to take little taps, tapping your toes. So there's a more explosive way to do this, but let's just do this little in and out. You can feel that turning in your hip sockets and in your joints there, and we're just kind of letting that come through a little. And then coming back in, we're going to bring our feet back in and just start to go through the feet a little bit more focused, rolling through our ankles, breathing into your feet a little bit here. So we'll focus on the feet, little ankle circles, moving around nice and light and gentle. If you go too big, too fast, you're definitely going to get a cramp in your foot, maybe, especially if you're cold. And if I forgot to wear my toe spacers today, but which I want to try wearing during this class. If anybody wants to wear toe spacers during this class, I think that would be nice. Now, let's take a nice massage into the inside heel ankle area. So this adductor line of the foot into the arch. We're going to just give a nice little breathy support, opening this area, any tension that's being held around the heel from the ankle. And then we're going to continue. Use your thumbs maybe, and just take some nice deeper massage underneath the sole of your feet, and just kind of moving around in through the arches, especially leading up underneath your first metatarsal, your big toe. So, the balls of the feet are all under here, and we want to just kind of make sure that we're flushing into them, especially if you have higher arches. This might be a little bit more difficult to fully release and let go. So And then we'll get underneath the toes. So just kind of massage under the toes from your feet. We're going to go under and hold with your hands, hold spaces in between your toes. As you draw the toes apart, just breathe into your feet and relax your feet with that space in between your toes. We want to feel that the toes work individually and have their own breath. They don't fully work individually, but we want to give them that space. We're going to release the hands. Take your hands back behind on the floor. We're going to take the knees together, draw the legs into your midline. Feel that you're gathering from the outsides of the hips, like your outside hips and your sits bones gather to pull your legs in. It's not just your inner thighs squeezing. We're going to gather through the midline and then walk along the floor. So we go heel, balls of the feet, toes. We use our toes to reach and draw the heel forward. So we're doing these little inchworm motions, but we want to feel the breath travel down the legs through the toes. And the toes, it's doming, if anybody has practiced doming in their feet. We're just breathing. Now, when we get too far away, we're going to reverse. The toes go over. Check out the shape of your dome. Does it look like an arc? Does it look kind of even? Relax through the arches, especially on the way back. So as the toes go over, feel your arches breathe and melt into the floor. And you'll feel the articulation spread through your toes more evenly. You're not taking away from anything in your arch with strength or flexibility, but we're just letting it function. Now let's go forward again. Exhale, breathe through your arches to expand and walk. And exhale in through and walk. And again, exhale in through and out. And then just relax and shake your legs out on the floor. Now we're going to come back into our seated position, whatever you're comfortable with, cross or diamond or whatever, lifting up, taking a nice breath, nice big circular massage around the upper side ribs. We're going to inhale and just exhale, release, get a nice flush all throughout the torso and the abdomen here. Feel the inhale again. And let it go. Come down right into the front of the hips, into the lymph, into our front hip groin area, and just kind of flush through there. And then come up right into the center of your chest, a nice little scrubbing up and down on the sternum, releasing the breath, and just letting that tension go that you might not realize is there. And then we'll sweep right down through the midline, from the ribs all the way into the pelvis. Just light sweeps with our fingertips so the breath is traveling through there. We're going to go around through the sides of the ribs, underneath the sides of the ribs, breathing into that. And then coming back through center and around underneath the other side ribs, just feeling a sense of awareness and opening through there. And then relaxing the arms over the legs, relaxing the head over, and take your hand into the front, the opposite hand into the shoulder. We're just going to breathe and massage. Again, lots of lymph here, right? So we're breathing out, letting the head relax. You can move your head a little. So sometimes that slight movement through the head unwinds from the neck down through the shoulder a little bit more. Now, sometimes it feels too tight to move the head, and that's fine. You don't have to. We're just breathing into that and kind of, again, mushing around there, and then relaxing and changing to the other side, relaxing the head over. Notice what your chin is doing. I just caught my chin being way, way out on that side. So just relax it a little bit in. You don't have to pull it in, but relax it in and breathe through that. And then just kind of move around in your massage where you feel that nice let go. So I can feel that through my neck today. And then we're going to come up through center, breathing out and just dropping the palm up and over, and exhale. So we're just letting the breath give us a nice sense of release and momentum through the hand, going up and around, getting a nice sense of breath into the upper back ribs and lungs. and coming back. So now we're going to let the tail soften. We're going to gather the breath. Inhale through the midline. Inhale, the breath brings us all the way up. Lifting almost off your seat. We're going to keep that lift and exhale. Let the arms go. So there's this release of the arms off of the spine, but the energy supporting in the upward lift of the spine keeps us balanced, right? So let's try that 2 more times. We're going to relax the tail, let the breath lift you up. It's like you're lifting all of your organs up and release. And 1 more time, breath lifts us up. If you need more weight in your tail, think of your tail going down heavier and let go. And now just shake it all out. Breathing, of course, releasing through the shoulders, the elbows, the wrist, getting some breath into your upper back, lungs, and ribs here. All the way down through the wrists and the fingers, getting that nice fuzzy feeling all the way down into our hands. And then we're going to interlace the fingers and just do a nice little compression release, just kind of squeezing and letting go. You can shift your hands a little forward and back. And then relaxing your palms together, relax the shoulders, and then just use your breath to let go in a nice little, this is a figure 8 momentum, right? So I'm not trying to make a shape, but it just happens that way. The interlocking of our fingers allows for a release here. You want to help yourself find that release with your breath. Maybe not the same rhythm as someone else, right? So now let's reverse it. This is the opposite direction your nervous system chose for you. So it's not going to feel as natural, but just let your breath go and let that become more normal feeling. And then we're going to interlace, just slightly pull apart with the fingers and just feeling that opening and closing here. Now, because we're going to come up and do our standing breathing soon, let's go through the fingers from the sternum, from the center of the chest. We're going to let the breath release through each little pull of the finger and float up and open. Find breath through the center of the chest and feel how that releases the arms out and maybe a little bit up. You're not trying to make a shape, and you're also not trying to whack back behind you. Grounding through your pelvis is going to be important on this. So taking your thumb, relaxing the shoulders, and just wiggling that space open. Exhale from the pelvis and release. It's like a nice little bird flying off the ground. And again, find the next finger. We just feel that there's a little tiny opening right in the center of the chest that just feels so lovely, and release. It's like somebody just opened a little door there. And again, exhale. And again. So it doesn't matter if you're moving at the same time. We're going to the next hand. You can imagine that the breath comes from your pelvis and releases up through the chest. And again. So each line, each meridian is going to feel different. And again. And just relaxing there. So now we're going to come around and we're going to skip some of our looking stuff, our spotting. We're going to come around onto our hands and knees. And we're just going to take 1 foot back behind, thinking of the midline, reach through your heel, tucking your toes under. Now feel that energy come in and up. We're going to draw the tail long and slide the heel back behind us. And then bring it in. It doesn't have to go far. We're just feeling that lift over the hips and just breathing open through the heel, through the back of the knee, and change. There's some... All right, Belle's out of here. I was getting too close for her. I think she wants nap time. And again, lifting up and over, Exhale. So we relax the heel to breathe through the foot. Now we're going to come back in and tuck the toes under. Lift your heels, tuck your toes, and push back over your heels. So the heels are a little bit more together. The toes can be apart. Hanging the arms over the knees, and just gently bounce the tail down towards the floor, letting go of your head. Find that drop in your tail. Take your hands really close to your toes and use your breath. Take a nice exhale as you push and stretch through the legs, finding your heels. You can separate the feet a little and just hang over your legs, shaking the knees out, relaxing and hanging over. If you feel okay, hold on to your elbows and feel that plumb line from your tail through your heels. You're resting into that plumb line as you let go through the neck and shoulders, breathing into that. We're going to let the breath in, the upper abdomen, the stomach, lifts up to the ceiling. We keep breathing into that lift and let go of the elbows, but keep looking for the breath in and up through the abdomen so that the tail can release down through the floor. That lift in and up gives us some space to let the tail draw all the way down. And once you're all the way up, give yourself a moment to find that sense of length through the tail, gliding down and out along the floor behind you. And you feel this nice openness up through the front. So you feel like you can breathe there. So now in this position, and you can stand, again, think of the outside of the hips. You're going to bring your feet as close as this connection through the outside of the hips allows you to do, right? So some people are touching with the heels, and we want to make sure we're nice and parallel through the midline. When we bend the knees a little bit, we want to be aware of this midline so we don't start looking like this, right? And that, for some people, that happens quite a lot. So we want to feel that when we bend, we're bending through the midline. We're going to take our fingertips into the low belly, relaxing the shoulders. We're going to do a sipping breath through the mouth. We want to feel the feet, the heels especially, are going to just very gently get this going by pushing down into the floor to get a feeling, a sensation through the low belly. We're going to sip in and up. Now we're going to take that little bend in the knees. As we exhale, we're increasing the engagement, deepening, giving contrast with the bend of the knees. Don't go out here. Through your midline. Stretch through the knees. Feel the breath sip from the floor up again. So your fingertips are observing this connection, and it deepens as you exhale. Sipping in and up again. There's a little suspension, and then an exhale. One more time, sipping in and up. Lifting inside the body as you exhale. Now, this low belly area, the dantian, the opposite side of your sacrum, which has a lot of connectivity and organization. Sort of, this is the center of our body, right? We're going to let the arms hang, still sip through here. Now the arms are going to float up around the side and then come forward in the loop. So draw the breath in and up through the sip. So the shoulder blades, as we sip in and up, the shoulder blades just sort of glide down and float the arms up. We keep that internal lift as we exhale. And release. Find your sip in and up again. Lifting inside. And exhale. And release one more time. And gently exhale. Now there's a little scoop curl under through our tail. We're going to round the tail under and our fingertips trace the midline with the breath. We're going to sip and trace in and up. And just let your fingertips touch like a nice little open prayer at the top. Elbows are wide. And we use our eyes and our chest to look up. As we exhale, we breathe the upper chest open. Again, a little bend in the knees to breathe and release the arms out. Let your tail sweep under a little bit to bring your arms fully around. Find that midline breath again. Comes all the way up through the eyes and chest, and exhale. And that little sweep under through the tail. One more time, finding the breath, drawing in and up. And let it come all the way through. And release. Now we're going to feel the midline. Breathe in and up through the right arm as we lift. The other finger, the middle finger on your other arm, hand is touching the side. We're going to exhale and we just shift over and hang. You're just drawing down into your heel. Feel that your tail breathes down into the heel, the side you're shifting towards. And then letting the breath in, find that openness in the sternum, the arms open from the chest, drawing around, finding center, breath comes in. Feel that that other middle finger slides up towards the ceiling. So that gives you a lift to shift over and breathe into that side, letting your head go. And breath comes in. And finding center. And shift, exhale over. Breath comes in. And shift, finding center one more time and exhale over. And breath comes in. Now we're going to release the breath. Let the breath in again. Take the arms in, a little bend in the knees. Take a long exhale from the shoulder blades. You're going to push away, exhale. Keep pushing out as much as you can. You're going to feel a little nervy in the arms probably. Let the breath in. The chest floats the arms up. And we do just a nice little reverse wave. The tail rounds under. We let the arms drape down through the front. As we let the breath in, we find that long tail down to feel the chest lift up. We're floating up to the top of the water, and the tail sweeps under. So there's that length and lingering to breathe through the body. It's a very gentle, long undulation. We're not going for anything aggressive, but we're just breathing into each little vertebrae, lengthening. And we have a nice little curl. So we have a nice little soft, long C curve in the spine. And again, letting the breath in. Feeling that lift and length through the pelvis. And lifting up and over. There's just a very small softening in the chest. You're not too far over. And then release. We'll just come all the way up through center. Taking a deep breath, lifting the shoulders up. And exhale, release. And again, up. Let your whole chest lift. One more time, up. And release. As you release your shoulders, feel that openness and space in the chest a little bit remain. Find that long tail from the low back all the way down, and then just kind of walk out of that, feeling that the length of the tail keeps you nice and open feeling in the front of your body. And just kind of feeling the floor, letting your bones release and guide you into your walking. So you can change depending on if you feel bones or nerves or muscles, whatever your leader is in terms of initiating movement. The quality of your movement, the aesthetic of your movement changes. Everything changes. So depending on what you want, you can explore ways to be more clear through the anatomy. And it doesn't matter, like this started off with dancers exploring, but it's not. It's dancers are yogis, basically, right? They are. So thank you so much, everyone. Any questions or comments, please let me know. Otherwise, I will see you again next week, Wednesday, 12 o'clock Eastern Time. And have a lovely week, everyone. Thank you.